This critical dialogue is at the intersection of maritime security and counterterrorism. As we commence this workshop organized collaboratively by the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism, the Ministry of Interior, Nigerian Mission Service, the Consul General, Republic of Italy, in Lagos. As you are aware, the government remains a vital route for global trade and regional stability, yet it faces escalating threats, from piracy and illegal trafficking, smuggling, to terrorism that endanger lives, economies, and international security. So then, the importance of this workshop cannot be overemphasized. Over the next few days, we aim to dissect these challenges, share innovative strategies, strengthen regional and international cooperation to safeguard our coastal communities and sea borders. We are honored to host experts, policymakers, and security practitioners from across the continent and beyond, whose insights will drive actionable solutions. This initiative underscores the UN's commitment to multilateralism and Nigerian leadership in addressing transnational threats. We aim for focused discussions, inclusive and solution-oriented. The opportunity will enable us to forge partnership, align priorities, and chart a secure future for the gods of Guinea. To our partners at UNOCT, thank you for your vision. To all participants, your expertise is invaluable. Thank you and welcome. On this note, without much ado, I will briefly call upon our special guest of the day, the Governor of Lagos State, to make his brief address.
I want to apologize on behalf of my governor, Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, who is unavoidably absent here this morning because of other state assignments, and hence I am here to represent him. Please pardon him. Members of the National Assembly here present, the Chairman, Senate Committee on Interior, His Excellency Senator Adamu Oshiomhole, you are welcome, sir. The Chairman, House Committee on Interior, Honorable Ahmad Aminu, and his Deputy, Honorable Ayuba Adele Ganiu. The Honorable Minister of Interior of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Honorable Dr. Olubunmi Tunji Ojo. Members of the Diplomatic Corps here present, especially the Consul General of Italy to Lagos, Ugo Boni. The Comptroller General of Nigeria Immigration Service, CG Kemi Nana Nanda. The Comptroller General of Nigeria Customs Service, Mr. Bashir Adewale Adeni, you are welcome, sir, MFR. The Head of Border Agencies, and all of our foreign guests here present. Now, to the governor's speech. It is with great pleasure that I extend my warmest greeting to all participants gathered here today for the regional workshop on maritime border security in the Gulf of Guinea, organized by the Nigerian Immigration Service. The Gulf of Guinea is a vital maritime region that plays a central role in the economic growth, trade, and ecological balance of West Africa. Its extensive coastline, abundant natural resources, key shipping lanes, and major ports such as the Port of Lagos make it an indispensable component of our national and regional prosperity. However, this strategic corridor faces significant challenges, including piracy, illicit trafficking, illegal fishing, and maritime terrorism, which threaten the security and stability of our coastal communities and economies. As Nigeria's commercial hub and a home to one of Africa's busiest ports, Lagos State remains at its forefront of efforts to secure our maritime borders. Through close collaboration with the Nigerian Immigration Service and other security agencies, we have strengthened border controls, enhanced maritime surveillance, and improved port security. These efforts are crucial in facilitating legitimate trade while combating smuggling and other illicit activities. As we gather under the leadership of the Honorable Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, who will officially open this workshop, I am confident that the discussions that will ensue here will generate innovative strategies and foster stronger partnerships among all stakeholders. I encourage everyone to actively participate, share expertise, and commit to the collaborative responsibility of safeguarding the Gulf of Guinea. I am certain that together we can build a more secure, resilient, and prosperous maritime region that benefits all our people. Once again, I warmly welcome you to Lagos State and wish you a successful and productive workshop. Thank you and God bless you. Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, Governor of Lagos State. Thank you very much.
Well, Minister of Interior, Chief of Staff of the Government of Lagos State, Controller General of the Immigration, and all protocol observed. It is an honor to speak with you today about this subject of growing importance. And as global maritime trade expands and security challenges evolve, the need for effective cooperation has never been more pressing. And I am very proud to represent here today the Italian government and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, because Italy, with its deep maritime heritage and commitment to international peace and stability, has always been a valuable partner in safeguarding the waters of West Africa. And West Africa maritime domain, particularly the Gulf of Guinea, is one of the most strategic but yet vulnerable regions, rich in natural resources and a critical corridor for global trade. It also faces persistent threats, piracy, armed robbery of sea, illegal fishing, human trafficking, and smuggling. And these challenges not only endanger maritime safety, but also undermine the economic development and sovereignty of coastal nations. Italy recognizes that security in this region is not just a local or continental issue, it is a global priority. And as a leading member of the European Union and NATO, Italy has consistently advocated for a comprehensive security approach that combine military presence, diplomatic engagement, and capacity building. In the recent year, Italy has deepened its strategic engagement in West Africa through several concrete actions. First, through the EU Coordinating Maritime Presence initiatives in the Gulf of Guinea, Italian naval assets have played a pivotal role. Italian warships are often seen in the port of Lagos. I personally visited several of them during my tenure here. Approximately every 3 months there is one, and they have patrolled the region, conduct joint exercise with local navies, including the Nigerian navies, and responded to incidents of maritime crime. And this has contributed to significantly reduce the threat of piracy in the region. Not only providing direct security benefits, but have also helping to strengthen mutual trust and interoperability with regional partners. Second, Italy has invested in capacity building and training through bilateral agreements and EU missions like UCAP Sahel. Italy supports training program for maritime law enforcement, Coast Guard personnel and judicial actors. And also in this very moment, as I speak, there is actually 18 officers from several police forces of Nigeria, including 6 from the immigration service that are in Italy for a training about forensic and crime scene investigation. Italian expertise in maritime law, surveillance, technologies and port security has been shared with the West African nations, enhancing their ability to monitor and protect their maritime domains independently. Third, Italy is commitment not purely military, but also in development cooperation, and recently, last year, launched an ambitious initiative, the so-called Mattei Plan for Africa, named after Enrico Mattei, an energy pioneer that inspired a new way of partnership between countries. And so we are deeply engaged with the African country and hopefully also with Nigeria more and more to identify initiatives that can contribute to develop our economic cooperation and also to promote welfare in all the member countries. Furthermore, Italy emphasizes multilateralism and cooperation and actively supports the implementation of the Yaoundé Architecture for Maritime Security, the regional framework established by ECOWAS, ECAS, and the Gulf of Guinea Commissions. And let me conclude that Italy stands as a reliable partner to all West African nations in the pursuit of the maritime security and sustainable development. And our engagement is not guided only by strategic interest, but by shared values, peace, stability, and the rule of law. And I hope that we will continue to build bridges across continents and sea, ensuring that the waters of West Africa remain safe, prosperous, and open for all. Thank you very much.
It is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you all on behalf of the Nigerian Immigration Service to this critical workshop on maritime security in the context of counterterrorism in the Gulf of Guinea. We are proud to co-host this initiative with the United Nations Counterterrorism Center, and we are deeply grateful for the shared commitment to enhancing maritime security in our region. As the Controller General of Nigerian Immigration Service, I am proud to lead an organization that has been at the forefront of securing our nation's borders and contributing to regional security efforts. The Gulf of Guinea is one of the most strategic maritime corridors in the world. It is rich in resources, it is teeming with trade, and it is central to the livelihoods of millions. Yet, it is also a region increasingly threatened by criminality, extremisms, and transnational terrorism. These threats do not respect borders. They exploit weak links, they transverse coastlines, and they undermine our collective stability. Today, we stand at a critical juncture where maritime insecurity can no longer be viewed through the narrow lens of piracy or smuggling alone. The reality is far more complex. Terrorist groups are adapting. They are moving men, They are moving arms, money, and materials through our waters. They are leveraging organized criminal networks, and they are taking advantage of governance gaps. What was once seen as an isolated incident of violence on land is now rippling into our seas. It is posing grave challenges for national and regional security. As the lead agency responsible for managing the movement of persons across Nigeria's borders, the Nigerian Immigration Service understands the nexus between terrorism and maritime insecurity. From the illegal movement of foreign terrorist fighters to human trafficking, to irregular migration and the infiltration of our maritime borders, these threats demand a new level of vigilance. It demands innovation. It requires regional coordination. This workshop represents a timely and strategic step forward. Over the next 3 days, we will have the opportunity to pool our insights, to harmonize our experience, and to enrich the compendium of good practices for maritime border management in the context of counterterrorism. But beyond the documentation of good practices, we must also grapple with some hard truths. Firstly, that many of our national maritime strategies still lack robust provisions on terrorist movements across maritime borders. Those gaps in surveillance, data sharing, and port security continue to hinder early warning signs and detection. Secondly, that community engagement along coastal areas still remains underutilized in identifying and disrupting extremists' networks. We must therefore move from coordination to integration, from fragmented efforts to a coherent regional approach that unites immigration services, the Navy, the customs, intelligence agencies, so that we have a seamless security architecture. For Nigeria, we have begun this journey. The Nigerian Immigration Service is working hard to harmonize and modernize its border management infrastructure and to deploy maritime domain awareness tools, and also to expand interagency collaboration. But we know this is not a journey that we can walk alone. Regional solidarity and international support must remain indispensable. We therefore call for deeper intelligence sharing across borders and across domains. We call for stronger legal frameworks that criminalizes maritime terrorism in all its forms. We call for capacity building, initiatives that equip frontline officers with the tools to act decisively and lawfully. And above all, the political will to uphold international obligations even in the face of domestic constraints. Let us be clear. Ensuring maritime security in the Gulf of Guinea is not just a matter of safeguarding ships and ports. It is a matter of protecting sovereignty of national borders, defending human lives, and securing the economic futures of our nations. The seas connect us, but they also expose us. Therefore, our response must be connected, informed, and resilient. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I urge us all to approach this workshop with the urgency and seriousness it deserves. Let us listen, learn, and lead. Let this gathering be remembered not only for its dialogue, but for the actions it catalyzes. For in the era where threats to our maritime domain are as fluid as the waters themselves, only firm and collective resolve will keep us afloat. I thank you all for coming, and I thank you for listening.
gives me pleasure to be here to make these remarks commemorating this important workshop. I'd just like to start off from where the CGI ended. She identified critical areas where these workshops should be focused on. And I'm very happy that she actually landed on the need to deepen cooperation and collaboration between all the other agencies. I also agree with her that it's important that we maintain a credible database of all terrorists and ensure that we engage our communities around the maritime domain. What I would like to add is born out of similar experiences that we've had in the community, the global community of customs under the auspices of the World Customs Organization. It's so pleasant for me to see Mr. Vincent Njembi from the Customs Administration of Cameroon. I think apart from me, it looks like he's the only other customs officer inside this hall. Vincent, please stand up to be recognized. I didn't hear you being introduced during the introduction. Vincent, please sit down. Vincent was the Regional Development Manager for the West and Central African unit of the WCO. And that was the unit in WCO that coordinates the response and the activities of customs administrations roughly around the Gulf of Guinea that looks after issues about maritime security, security around the Sahel, customs modernization, and all of that. And what we have always emphasized is the fact that just like the CGI said, the sea exposes all of us. The Sahel also does. So we have all of these security challenges, coming to us from different places. And so we need to be more dynamic in our approach. We need to be coordinated. We need to have a coordinated response to some of these security threats. Permit me to add two major facts to what she has enumerated. All the terrorists that are operating along our shores are driven by narcotics. There is the element of drugs that is in this mix. I have seen the program for today. I've seen the one for tomorrow. I understand the importance of sharing intelligence, having a legislative framework, but somewhere along the line, we have to add the use and the access and the control of narcotics to our conversations. The second, and possibly more important, is that terrorists around this place leverage the gaps in our financial systems to ensure that they launder illegal monies and resources to fund their operations. It could come in different ways. Some of them get involved in mining, some of them in kidnapping, some of them illegal trafficking of human beings. But the most important thing is that we have to understand how they use the financial system to fund their activities. So terrorism financing is also very, very important, and I believe that we must find a way within these workshops or in similar engagements in the future to add this to the conversation. For those that are familiar with what has been happening in Nigeria in the last 2 years, there is a quiet revolution that we are witnessing in the interior sector, which is championed by the Honorable Minister of Interior. The initiatives that we've had in passports, in the deployment of technology and all of that in managing our borders. Charity, they say, begins at home. He has led the charge at home, and as he's leading this charge beyond the borders of Nigeria, providing a rallying force for all the stakeholders, other stakeholders within the Gulf of Guinea. I don't have any doubt in my mind that we are going to have, under his guidance, the same positive results that we've had at home. And on that note, that optimistic note, I want to welcome all our participants, particularly those from outside Nigeria, and possibly those who are visiting Nigeria for the first time. If you have visited so many other African countries and you have not been to Nigeria, I don't think you have visited anywhere. Welcome to Niger. Thank you.
Maritime security, maritime insecurity is not just a threat to shipping lanes. It's a mirror of regional vulnerability and a test of our collective resolve. It's my honor to be here today to bring greetings and good wishes to this conference on maritime border security in the context of counterterrorism in the Gulf of Guinea. I want to start by thanking the Controller General of Nigeria Immigration for extending invitation to me as a guest of honor at the opening ceremony of this conference. I also want to commend the strategic vision behind organizing this regional workshop, which brings together experts and stakeholders to discuss ways of addressing maritime border security challenges. The Nigeria Police recognizes the complex and evolving nature of transnational organized crimes, including terrorism, piracy, illicit trafficking, and other asymmetric threats that has continued to threaten maritime stability. These threats demand more than just conventional responses. They require coordinated, intelligence-driven, and technology-enabled strategies. The Gulf of Guinea, as a critical maritime corridor connecting several nations, must be protected through effective surveillance, robust intelligence mechanisms, enhanced interagency collaborations, and deepened international cooperation. Its vulnerability to exploitation by non-state actors, including terrorism networks, compels unified action. In this regard, the Nigerian Police Force remains committed to working collaboratively with the Nigerian Immigration Service, the Nigerian Customs, and other relevant national and international agencies. This will help us to secure our maritime frontier and deter cross-border criminal activities. As this conference commences, I want to urge all participants at this conference to engage fully and utilize this opportunity to develop actionable frameworks that will strengthen operational partnerships and build trust across borders. The Nigerian Police Force stands ready to adapt, and operationalize the outcomes of this conference. I wish you all impactful engagement as we look forward to the success of this conference. Thank you.
Border security from different African countries, particularly West Africa. And I want to acknowledge our appreciation as a nation for the collaboration with foreign countries like Italy and other countries from different continents. Today, I am not going to be insightful as suggested by the guy who introduced me, because I know next to nothing about maritime border security. I have come here essentially to listen as people involved in policy formulation. We have to listen, to learn, and to unlearn about what is it that we need to do differently at the level of, as a national legislator at the National Assembly, along with my colleague, so that where laws are required, we will understand the context in which those laws have to be made. And where appropriation is required, we'll be able to readily understand why we need to spend more money
in certain sectors. That is all I can say. As for the technicalities, the technology you require, the manpower you require, the kind of skill required, I have to confess, I am not very much at home with those. But having confessed my very limited knowledge, I want to share with you my thoughts on something that some people are pushing for at the moment. There have been conversation in the National Assembly by some persons who thought that we should create a coastal guard. In their opinion, we need a coastal guard to complement what the Immigration Service is doing, what the Navy is doing, and other security agencies. My personal opinion, not the opinion of the National Assembly, is that what we need is to invest, re-equip, fund properly, and train properly existing institutions. I believe that if the Nigerian Navy is giving more resources to recruit more officers and men and acquire more equipments, communication gadgets, and all of the things you need to have an effective and efficient naval force, and you spend more money on immigration to deal with their own aspects of border control, and you even spend more money on maritime police, which I got to do when I was governor in Edo State. I believe that re-equipping these existing institutions is to be preferred than setting up a completely new outfit that you spend so much more on overhead and then very little money available for operation. I will cause more trouble by giving such example as we have done before when we exercise traffic division of the Nigeria Police to a whole outfit, which we now call road safety. People of my age try to compare what we see now to what it was when road safety was part and parcel of the traffic division of the Nigeria Police. Having listened to all those who have spoken, I'm better informed about the challenges we face. I'm aware that we do face those challenges. Counter-terrorism, a lot of criminality goes on. The more at the political level, national government tries to facilitate movement of people within sub-region with minimum documentation, we also find the unintended consequences of people coming to the country, whether by land, by sea, and so on and so forth. I think of all the challenges we face today in our sub-region, maritime security should be easily one of them. And whatever can be done, I am confident that the Nigerian, those of us in the National Assembly, recognizes that we have no choice but to give a happy hand to ensure those are done. Let me use this opportunity to also appreciate our young Minister of Interior. You know, oftentimes people emphasize age. Age is just numbers. But for many observers, we have seen that with a thinker, you know, one who is hungry to find solution, not to join the army of lamentation and, you know, and so on and so forth, you can get a couple of things done differently without even huge additional resources. When I traveled, the last time I traveled, I saw a huge difference at the border, both at the time of departure and when I arrived. I was surprised that I could pass a gate without 2-3 people asking me questions, and the passport could communicate with a gadget I can't see, and the gate is open, and I can return to Nigeria. And I saw many other people smiling doing that. So it shows what is possible if we agree to keep thinking through better options, to be more efficient, to be more productive, and renewed commitment, not to make excuses, to do our best to safeguard the security of our country. We have a president that is also committed not to business as usual. He recognizes that business as usual would take us out of where we find ourselves. We have to think out of the box, and he will join the army of those who lament what is not working. He prefers to be remembered as one who chooses to make things happen rather than spending time explaining why things are not working. That challenges those of us who are part of his, will I say, political family, to do whatever we can do together so that it will be said at the end of the day that a lot of the problems that we are currently experiencing, I would say, and it is not, it would be right to say that they will all disappear, but that we can see a pathway to, finding lasting and sustainable solution to these various security challenges. And I'm sure we are in the hands of a good minister, very active woman. I think the CJ of Customs, you are showing every day that whatever a man can do, CJ of Immigration, I say whatever a man can do, these days women do it much, much better and more quietly. May you continue to remain resourceful and drive those innovations. But it's one thing for the minister to initiate broad policies. The translation of those policies by each unit under the interior require the head of those interiors are impressed with the issues and are committed to giving effect to all the policies. So thank you for inviting me, and thank you for making it possible for me to meet so many brothers and sisters from various countries, and of course our cooperative partners from Italy, from other parts of the world. Have a great day too. And like this guy said, I don't know why he ran away. He thought we were going to arrest him for smuggling himself into the place. The CJ of Customs, if you have traveled around the world and you're in Africa and you've not been to Nigeria, then this is Nigeria. Welcome to Nigeria.
This is a very important program for me. It's a very important program for the Ministry of Interior. It's a very important program for Nigeria. And the reason being that border security is key to whatever we want to do. I think it was Barack Obama that once said, a safe border is a secured nation. If you cannot secure your border, you can never keep your people safe. If you want the police to have less work to do, if you want our law enforcement agencies to have less work to do, the first step is to secure your border. If you cannot control the inflow and outflow of people, then there is a problem. And of course, of all the three border areas, the maritime, the air, and of course the land, we know that the most porous and the most technical is obviously the maritime border. And Nigeria, looking at our geographical location in Africa, I say this, it could be an asset, it could be a liability, because Nigeria is a country, one of the few in the world, that falls within two sub-regions. Nigeria falls within the Sahel and at the same time within the Gulf of Guinea. So of course, when you look at insecurity from the Sahel down to the Gulf of Guinea, then from the Gulf of Guinea to the Sahel, put lots of pressure on our internal security agencies. And of course, with a population of over 230 million people, that brings a lot of challenges. And beyond that, with a population of over 70% below the age of 40, with over 42% below the age of 15, shows very well that there is an enticer for insecurity and terrorism because of the young population that we boast of in Nigeria. Having said this, it shows that the time to review our border strategic policy is now. And I'm happy that the NIS is already doing that by virtue of what we've started today. I always say finding a solution is a factor of three things. It's a factor of answering three questions. Question number one is what we always call the what question. Question number two is the how. Question number three is the when. The what question tells us what we need to do. What's the mandate? What do we need to do? Let's understand the problem, which is what we are doing. After this, we now go to the how, which is the methodology of implementation. How do we implement the resolve, the resolution of this meeting? And of course, the last one is when do we implement it? And for me, that answer is now, because the time to implement the resolutions, it's not tomorrow, the time is now. The Nigeria is so important within the Gulf of Guinea. We all know that for sure. Just as Nigeria is very important within the Sahel. And of course, Nigeria being a gateway country, linking the Sahel to the Gulf of Guinea, being at the middle, poses a huge threat to our national security architecture. Having said that, the president has always challenged us to be innovative, dare to innovate, dare to achieve. You cannot achieve anything if you are not innovative. And he has always told us, Mr. President has always said, this is not the era of business as usual. This is the era of business unusual. It's about being bold, being audacious with decision making. I tell you, securing the maritime space is not going to be cheap. It's not going to be easy. But the question is, can we get it done? Yes, we can get it done. With the right idea, with the right resolution, with the right framework, and with the right mindset, we can get it done. And of course, we're very committed to getting that done. For me, it starts from because it's important when we come for international workshops like this. We understand and appreciate that government is a continuum, but it's important people should understand where we are coming from and where we are. Of course, 2 years ago when Mr. President came on board, we had an NIS that didn't have a data center. So when you do not have a data center, you do not build a credible database, how do you verify? How do you work on even, how will I call it? How do you work on data sequencing? It becomes a problem. But today, I'm happy to tell you, December last year, Mr. President has commissioned one of the biggest, one of the best and most reliable data center we have in Nigeria. That is the foundation of what we're trying to do. Number two is to now build a robust database, which I can tell you, to a large extent, we are already doing that and we're reaping the fruit of that. Yeah, it will interest you that a couple of weeks ago, I think within 2 days, a lot of people on Interpol and Red List, were arrested at our airports. So it means these people would have come in. One came from Italy, came from Italy, one came from Ireland, the other one I think from UK, a couple of countries. These people would have come into Nigeria, sneaked in years ago. But now we know that in terms of our air terminals, our air border, that is safe because it's integrated into the central solution. Also, that was not available before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board. We've been able to handle that. Now, we can tell you Nigeria now has an API solution. We never had that. The Advanced Passenger Information System was not available. We're one of the few countries, a country of 230 million people, without an API solution, without the opportunity of our immigration officers being able to pre-profile people coming into Nigeria, not being able to query their background, query their record system, query their antecedents and their travel history. We never had that capacity before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu came on board. But today, I tell you, NIS has that. So if you're coming into Nigeria today, before you come, we know everything about you. We've queried you, we know where you're coming from, and we can tell from that aspect, we are now fulfilling our international obligations to our international bodies by being able to uphold the tenets of UN resolution of the API solution. That we have at the moment. And of course, when we came on board, people think the e-gate is just a means of convenience. No, when we said the e-gate is a means of convenience. It's also a means of enforcement. And I can tell you today, the e-gate we see in our airports, it's not just for the purpose of ease of travel, it's also for the ease of record management. So it is easy for me. Like yesterday, I was invited to the House of Reps for public hearing on the certificate racketeering thing that happened in Benin Republic. And I told them that happened in 2022. Now it's a bit more difficult because now every passport, every movement on every passport is in our database. That is the essence of having this. And also, part of what we have also seen, which we have also introduced from the 1st of May, is the automation of our landing and embarkation card and exit card. Well, we automated that. So when people come into Nigeria, if you're coming into Nigeria now by road, by sea, or by air, you need to fill online. We have your details, and immediately you enter and we scan it. It has a QR code. It initiates a counter which we can now use to manage visa duration and visa overstayers. We have been able to do that. And I tell you, we have deployed portable equipment to our land borders to be able to scan that. So if you come into Nigeria and immigration arrests you, and of course the counter is not activated, it shows that you didn't come through the border, because what we had before was people just stamping passports. Anybody can go to UTC, go to anywhere and manufacture stamp and put it on passport, because when they say, oh, this is immigration stamp, the question is, how are we sure it was actually stamped by immigration? So we thought that the only way to secure our system is via automation. And I'm very happy with what I've read from this folder today. I'm very happy. We have to look at how to integrate AI solutions into our solution architecture, and of course to invest more in surveillance. The simple truth is that intelligence gathering is not as cheap as people think. A lot of us, it is what we see as physical infrastructure that we think is costly. But sometimes the service that drives the infrastructure will be more expensive than the infrastructure. That's why once we're talking to our National Assembly people, our leaders in the National Assembly, when police, immigration, customs is talking about cost of intelligence gathering, it takes somebody who really understands what intelligence and surveillance is to appreciate the amount of money that goes into that, because the quality of implementation, actionable implementation, is the quality of the surveillance and intelligence at your disposal. If you do not have that accurate intelligence, regardless of how much you spend on physical infrastructure, it's going to be a waste of money. So we also want to appeal to the National Assembly that in our budgeting process, which has to be innovative and which has to be distinct and different from works infrastructure. This is security. Security all over the world has gone beyond the era of corrective measures. Security all over the world has even gone beyond the era of detection. Security all over the world has gone to the era of preemptive and ability to predict before it happens. That's why you have AI. AI looks at sequence, looks at pattern of life and all these things. So these are not cheap things. We hope that the National Assembly will further be able to support us to be able to achieve this. Then in terms of the maritime, we have a large stretch of our maritime border. We know the problems we have at the moment with regards to our land border that spans over 4,047 kilometers. And of course, we are, as a country, we have to look at the countries that we also border. That tells us the reason why we have to also invest in our border security. Because when you look at the Sahel, sometimes I tell people when they say, oh, the Nigerian security architecture, they're doing a great job, because when you have a responsibility of protecting 230 million people and you are bordered from the Sahel, you have Niger, you have the Chad, you have, when you look at Cameroon, we look at all of them have their own internal issues. And of course, they also come into, the flood into Nigeria. So there's a lot of responsibility on the part of the security agencies. But the good thing is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a president that I said his presidency is based and built on boldness, audacity, and tenacity. That's the truth. You can see it from his actions. He's not this particular government. Administration is not one that is built on the quest for popularity, but at the expense of long-term gains. This particular administration is about building strong structure, strong systems upon strong foundation to be able to give us adequate and efficient deliverable for the future. So for me, I want to welcome you to this particular program, and I want you to please engage. I want you to please say your mind, give us ideas, because sometimes the idea that is needed to save an institution can always come from the list of places. Because the outcome of this workshop is going to be key to our border security strategy, which we're reviewing. And from the border security strategy, we'll come out with actionable things that we will need to do. Even from our air border and etc. Immigration years ago used to have aircraft for area surveillance. We used to have that in the past. Today we don't have. These are things that this particular government is looking into. It's a tough one because we are starting from a very tough point. But the good thing is that we have a president that is not discouraged, a president that does not determine his action by the toughness of the decision he needs to make. He's a man that enjoys taking the tough and hard decision because it's about a statesman whose only interest is not just about today, but about the tomorrow of Nigeria. So at this juncture, I want to welcome you. We will make sure that this does not become a talk shop. This will be a workshop. And from the workshop, we will be able to have actionable and implementable outcomes. So I thank you for coming. And I also encourage you to give it your best. And of course, NIS, you know the way we work. It's not about coming to talk. We want to work and be able to create support to 230 million Nigerians. And we hope we will continue to make Nigeria proud. We will continue to protect our maritime space. And lastly, before I go, I must also congratulate you for being able to bring out and collaborate with the customs, with the police. This is very key. And I think there's an area of collaboration that probably before now we've not really been exploiting well or properly. That is the maritime police. I think it's important because we must come together, share intelligence, work together as one, and understand, as the president keeps saying, we might be in different rooms, but the bottom line is that we are members of the same house. We are in the same house, but just occupying different rooms. National security is a matter of integration. It's a matter of understanding that an agency cannot survive without another agency. There is no competition. There is only complementation. We can only complement one another and not compete with one another. At this point, I welcome you, and it is my privilege and honor to declare this workshop open. God bless you.
This event, co-organized by the United Nations Office of Counterterrorism in partnership with the Nigeria Immigration Service, is a timely initiative. It coincides with the high-level meeting on strengthening maritime security through international cooperation for global stability convened by the UN Security Council today. This alignment reflects a growing international consensus that maritime security is central to global peace, regional stability, and sustainable development. Member states reaffirmed their priority in the Pact for the Future, which called for renewed global efforts to address interconnected threats through enhanced cooperation, resilience, and integrated approaches. Action 22 specifically urges member states to enhance international cooperation and engagement at the global, regional, sub-regional, and bilateral levels to combat all threats to maritime security and safety. Moreover, promote information sharing among member states and capacity building to detect, prevent, and suppress such threats. Similarly, the global counterterrorist strategy stresses the need for continued efforts to counter terrorism, to enhance maritime security in accordance with international law. Over the next 3 days, maritime security authorities and subject matter experts from across the Gulf of Guinea and beyond will gather to address a shared challenge. the threats posed by terrorist travel and maritime insecurity in one of the world's most strategic regions. The Gulf of Guinea is a lifeline for economies across West and Central Africa and for the broader global energy and trade systems. It supports a vast share of global shipping, energy transport, and regional commerce. However, this maritime corridor remains vulnerable to illicit activities that erode state authority and endanger regional stability from piracy, illegal fishing, human trafficking, and the growing reach of terrorist groups like Al-Qaeda affiliate Jenim into coastal zones. Sustained international support is critical as part of a more comprehensive effort to combat terrorism and prevent its spread into the countries of the Gulf of Guinea. In this context, UNOCT and the United Nations Global Counter-Terrorist Coordination Compact entities continue to intensify efforts in support of regional initiatives, particularly those aimed at preventing terrorists from expanding their influence and engaging in maritime piracy and trafficking. Our collective response must be multidimensional. We must close regulatory gaps that enable impunity at sea. We must improve maritime domain awareness and intelligence sharing across agencies and borders. We must build the capacity of frontline agencies, including navies, coast guards, port and immigration authorities. We must empower coastal communities as essential parts in maritime vigilance and early warning. These efforts must be guided by the whole of government and whole of society approaches. Effective maritime security can't be achieved without engaging all relevant sectors, including civil society, local authorities, and private actors in prevention, resilience, and accountability. Excellencies, this workshop will build on the compendium of good practices for maritime border management in the context of counterterrorism, first developed in 2022 through consultations with member states in East and Southern Africa. Today, we look to the unique perspectives, experiences, and expertise of partners in West Africa and Central Africa to enrich this body of work. Our response must be equally coordinated, forward-looking, and rooted in solidarity. I'd like to thank Italy for its financial support in organizing this event. Excellencies, looking ahead, let's continue to build a safe, sustainable, and prosperous maritime domain for Africa and for the world. I thank you.
Until the shadow came in to take over their region. Because they did not protect it and did not check really well. This was the shadow reign of terror.
Shadow brought with it all forms of badness. It brought with it trafficking, robbery, kidnapping, illegal bunkering, sea piracy, and every manner of evil.